We're here in South Florida in Pembroke Pines at the Charles F. Dodge City Center. This is awesome Impact Wrestling. 2 nights of TV tapings. Yes, Steve Maclin is here. And gosh, first of all, right away, I just want to talk about Hard to Kill. Awesome pay-per-view. You were a big part of it. Tell us about that. Tell us about the match. And just almost like, hey, Steve Maclin, putting yourself on the map.
It was one of those moments, and it was a moment to prove myself to the world, especially in singles competition for the X Division title, especially with Trey Miguel. He's a hell of a champion, one tough SOB, but I think I was pretty hard to kill out of that match if the pay-per-view lives up to its name. But it was a moment for me to be very proud of and very happy of for my singles career, and just culminating into Impact here for the past 6-7 months, and it's just been so much fun.
Steve, what was it like that day of just getting ready for that match and that pay-per-view? Was it a little different for you, or the same process for you?
No, same process usually. Just it was fun to get the match together, and Trey and I, like, we get in the wrestling world behind the scenes, we gel very easily, and it's very good to come up with things that way. But just for a performing standpoint, we both wanted to bring the best out of each other, and I thought we did that, and I thought, to me, we had the best match of the night. I know there were a lot of great matches on the card, but I still thought we had probably the best story on the card itself to wrap up the story we've been telling for the feud we have.
Did you get to watch any of it, or did you watch the show and the match later?
We watched it right as soon as I got to the hotel. Deonna and I, we watched right back on the pay-per-view, and she watched her match back. We both give critiques to each other, what could be different, or this or that, what could be better, and then of course we watched mine, and she fell asleep, and then I watched my match. So yeah, but I was very proud watching it back, and it was one of those, I always tend to watch my stuff back, just because it's the only way to get better. What was good, what was bad, and just it was one of those matches where I didn't really want to nitpick so much and just enjoy it watching it back as well, especially listening to the crowd at Hard to Kill in Dallas. They were on fire the whole night.
This is awesome. Every match, Steve, someone told me that later on. Recently, they said, do you realize, you know what, I think it was Moose actually that brought it up and said, you realize that every match, and I don't remember a pay-per-view like that where the crowd did a "This is awesome" chant for each match, and just in setting the tone for that. What was that crowd like? What was that experience like in front of them?
I thought it was good because the girls, they had the Ultimate X match that set the night off, and I think Hard to Kill in general put more eyeballs on Impact Wrestling, because what Impact Wrestling has right now is one of the best rosters in professional wrestling, top to bottom, and it is a wrestling show that people can watch and tune into where everybody's a part of it. And that night, I thought, kind of created this bubble that was building, and it kind of burst to where now it has people definitely eyes on Impact Wrestling. If you don't have eyes on Impact Wrestling, you need to be watching Impact Wrestling.
Thursday nights, 8 p.m., AXS TV. You're going to see Steve Maclin and a ton of wrestling talent with good matches, good angle storylines. It's just the behind the scenes, the people working behind the scenes with Impact. It's just really a great time to be with Impact Wrestling. I'm wondering for you, Steve, how have you elevated your game when you first got here? And just trying to put yourself out there and put yourself on the map. Did you do anything different? Was there anything just to go through this process for you?
I think I've honed in on who I am, and that's the one thing I think that's been where I was elsewhere, kind of holding me back, where I wasn't able to show the world what I can do and what I am able to do in the ring and on the microphone and in interviews like this. Let my voice be heard, and I love that people say that I'm like a hidden secret, or just like one of those gems that, like, oh, it wasn't because WWE wouldn't let him do anything. It's not. It's just you don't have that opportunity, and that's what I've been given here in Impact Wrestling, is taking advantage of the opportunity in front of me. And it is mayhem for all. It is tag 'em, bag 'em, whoever comes in my way. I don't care who it is, and that's me. And this, the purest form of me, and Hard to Kill proved that to everybody of who I am and who Steve Maclin is.
Now, Steve, where do you go from here?
Well, we got, No Surrender coming up in February in New Orleans, and it's going to be a good pay-per-view. We don't know where we're going from here. We're here at TVs right now, so we're kind of wrapping up towards that, and tune in to Impact Thursday nights, 8 o'clock on AXS TV, and you find out.
Steve, what is it like being here in South Florida, and have you been to South Florida before?
Yes, been to South Florida. I've wrestled in Miami before, wrestled here in Fort Lauderdale, and then obviously with NXT back in the day with all the Fort Pierce shows. We've always been there at the Fence Center, and yeah, it's good to be in Florida because it's home. I live here in Florida, so it's not that far of a drive, and I get to be here in my home state.
Steve, where did you grow up?
Rutherford, New Jersey. Started off in New Jersey, got my start at the Paulsboro in Paulsboro, New Jersey at the Monster Factory, and then got signed, and here I am in Florida since.
The Monster Factory is just one of those places that, oh my gosh, that's like a place. How did you hear about the Monster Factory? How did that journey start for you to be associated with them?
When I got out of the Marine Corps, it was kind of one of the things I wanted to do. I had a few friends on Independence, and I was trying to find something in South Jersey close to my parents so I didn't have a long commute. And found the Monster Factory, and ever since then they've treated me like family, even until now. And even when I go back and visit Danny and help out with the kids sometimes there, and we'll be up there in Philadelphia 2 months from now in March, and looking forward to being able to go back up there and share some knowledge and also see what they got going on up there as well.
What can you tell us about your time serving for our great country, America, being a part of the armed forces?
I got out of it what I wanted. I got my deployments. I got to fight for my country, which is what I signed up to do. Mainly because 9/11 happened when I was a freshman in high school, and that was one of those things that I just was in me to do. And I got out of it what I wanted. Taught me a lot of good, taught me a lot of bad, and a lot of how to deal with things in life, and mostly hurry up and wait. And in the wrestling business, that's the number one thing: hurry up and wait. You get to the town and you're waiting until you're going out there, or you're waiting on the promo, and it's life lessons. So Marine Corps taught me a lot and taught me how to be the character I am today.
Did you always want to give pro wrestling a shot?
Yes, always loved pro wrestling. I grew up watching pro wrestling with my grandmother and grandfather. My mom and dad worked days and nights, so I wouldn't see them half the time, so I was always with my grandmother and grandfather. And my grandmother loved Andre the Giant and Roddy Piper. So it was me. I was an Ultimate Warrior fan at first, just because he was larger than life and I was a little kid. I had his wrestle buddy and a ton of action figures, and it went to Bret Hart and Stone Cold. And then the older I got, I started respecting more of the traditional old school wrestlers that you didn't really see over the top. And I've been a fan my whole life. I'm still a fan.
Are you a sports fan?
Yes, New York Giants, New York Yankees, and happy the Giants making some changes. I see that we're in Miami.
Yeah, we're making changes too. Flores is out. Joe Judge is out.
Yeah, I didn't agree with the Flores. I didn't agree with that one. I thought
you know what? We won't go into the whole thing, but I'm going to tell you this from being down here and listening like that. It wasn't about the wins and losses. It was more about he just couldn't get along with the management and the people there, and they couldn't see eye to eye. So that's the reason why they ended up doing that.
I thought that was a bad firing, but I'm very happy with what's going on with the Giants. Change is coming, and I know everybody doesn't like Daniel Jones. I love Daniel Jones. I think he's a workhorse, and I just give him a shot, and hopefully Saquon stays healthy.
Yeah, that's one problem is Barkley's always hurt, and
this
that's one of their key players.
He's one of the best players.
He can run, he can catch. He's just an all-around great player. So, have you been to many Giant football games? Because it's a tough ticket to get.
Yes, we tried actually in Tampa this year, but the TV schedule got changed when it was Giants in Tampa. She wanted to go see Tom Brady because she's a Patriots fan, even though it was in the Bucks, and then it didn't work out, so we got to miss that game. But got to watch some games, but most of the time I'm listening on the radio just because I have it on my app, on the phone from the Giants app. So I listen to Bob Papa.
Did you play any football?
I did in high school. Played football, amateur wrestled as well. It was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. Just started at 7 years old playing Pop Warner ball all the way through high school, and it was a dream, and then didn't happen. So
it's so great because whether it's pro wrestling or football or something else, that you're able to do what you want to do like this and all.
And it's funny too because my old strength coach from the Performance Center, Sean Hayes, he always says, he's like, you still have that linebacker mentality where you're just downhill. That's kind of how I wrestle. I'm tough, gritty, and that's kind of how I play ball too. And that's how I was raised to play ball. Our hometown in Rutherford was just, we were always the undersized team, always didn't have an amount of players. We didn't have the new jerseys like every other team did. And it was one of those things where we're gritty guys.
LT fan?
Yes.
Oh, man.
One of the best defensive player of all time.
Unbelievable. That's such a great area. And I also wanted to touch base with this because I think this is so cool too. You're your own man, you're your own wrestler. Deonna's her own person, her own wrestler. You guys lived 5 miles from each other growing up or something?
We were about 30 minutes away from each other, didn't know. And actually it was funny, if I didn't get signed to NXT, we would have probably ran into each other at some point up in New Jersey at D2W with Team Adams up that way. And just funny how things work out, man. And I love her. She's the best thing in my life. So.
And it's funny because you mentioned you talking about the matches and stuff. So how much time would you guys spend? Okay, we have some wrestling talk time, but then also we have our time, and we're not talking wrestling, things
It's
like
not
that.
always wrestling, but it is. Wrestling comes in spurts. Like, I'll go to the gym, and that's kind of where my mind goes, and she'll do something, and we kind of text back and forth or send clips and stuff to each other of wrestling. And then if we're watching Monday Night Raw, watching AEW, or watching Impact on Thursdays, we watch everything, and we just try to see what's kind of happening or what we could do or do different or what we could do better. And yeah, and it's just good to see the competition out there, and that's kind of where we both get our heads, and we push each other, and that's the only way to just get better in this business.
Well, we'll wrap this up. I do want to ask Steven, thank you so much for your time in doing this. This is awesome, as always. And just when you look at the roster, who are some of the names that pop up into your head? I mean, this division, men and women, it's just incredible.
Well, obviously, right now I can't go after the X Division title because Trey Miguel, we had that stipulation from Hard to Kill. But right now, you got Moose as the world champion, and he's going against William Morris, so he had no surrender. And I'll have my eyes on that one.
And if you could have a football player as your tag team partner, who would you choose?
Right
Past
now,
or present?
past or present? Well, I go with LT. He obviously has the most experience. WrestleMania 11.
That's
and
true.
he got the W over
He got the
Bam
win.
Bam.
He got the win of Bam Bam. That's right.
Monster Factory guy. Yeah. So yeah, why not?
Steve, do you have social media for fans?
I do. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Steve Maclin, Pro Wrestling Tees, Steve Maclin Store, and also at Collar and Elbow.
Now I'm saying if there is an Impact Wrestling Intergender Tag Team Champions, the match is going to be Chelsea and Matt versus you and Deonna. That's it. I'm booking it right now, Steve.
Believe me, that's been talked about. Just by us, though. Just by us. It's been talked about.
Yeah, you don't want to get out there the rumor
Somewhere
that's
we
going
want to talk about that. But
Steve, thank you so much.
thank you.